Hi, I'm Jeannie and I'm here today from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and I want to teach you how to cast on two at a time for the magic loop. And I do have two completely different colors of yarn that I'm using so you can really see that contrast. My personal favorite is a 40-inch needle. I have here the Addie lace needles, which are some of my very favorite because the cable is very flexible. You can try it with other needles, and I do have people who do that. For me personally, it's a little too much work. So the idea behind the magic loop is it gets two things done at the same time, and that's what I really like. So normally we would be working with a lot of stitches, but today I think we'll just work with 12 stitches for each thing because that should get us going quickly. So we'll start with the yellow yarn, and what we're going to do is cast on 6 of our stitches. You want to make sure you have enough length for the second half of your cast on. So we will just quickly cast on our 6 stitches using your favorite technique. For socks, which this technique is commonly used for socks, 4, 5. I like to use the German twisted cast on as one of my favorites. You can try the channel iron cast on, something that will be loose and give you that top edge. So initially you cast on only half of the total number, which is 12. So here's our first cast on for our first sock, first sleeve, first hat, whatever it is, right here. So there's 6 stitches for that. With our second color, we're going to go ahead and cast on our 12 stitches very quickly, and hopefully I can do that quickly. I am a long tail girl. I think it would be, this technique, magic loop, calls for some sort of a long tail, at least to cast on this way. I'm sure you can find other ways if you like to cable cast on, but this is the only way I've been able to figure out how to do 2 cast-ons in the same swoop. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. So now what we're ready to do is separate this and join this to be able to do our magic loop technique. So we slide the whole bunch of business up here about halfway down. So we have our 6 stitches. You can put that to the end of the needle. Am I going too far out of frame? That can go down here like this. Then this, we've cast on our total number of stitches we want to work with, 2, 4, 6. We very gently, don't pinch because you will ruin your needles. You'll put a crimp in that cable. We slip this through so we have both cables coming through. We have 6 stitches on each side of our needle, of our cable. Okay, we want to keep those pointing down. This is where the fun part comes in. So we just kind of slip those up there. We have this sock, this sleeve, whatever this is going to be, is completely cast on. We have to manage the second half of the magic loop. And the way we're going to do that is a little bit tricky, but I know you guys can do it. I move this out. We ignore this, our fuchsia back here, and take our yellow and continue on with our long tail cast on with our front needle. You see how I have this positioned? I have half the stitches on both sides because I pulled that cable through. Now we do have a video on the side about basic magic loop. For one thing, this is how to cast on 2 things at a time. And you see I'm just kind of going slow and managing. This needle is just being over here, out of the way, staying put, behaving itself, we hope. 2, 4, 5, and 6. And now we have our equal number. What we're going to do is turn our work around, and we are now ready to work our magic loop. So I will go ahead and work half of these just for time-wise, but so that you can see exactly how the magic loop goes. You always want to keep your tail out of the way. You use your back needle. This is what we call home position. When everything is lined up, stitches are facing down, you've done your cast on, you pull that back needle around like this. This is now your working needle. You're going to use the yarn that's coming from your working ball. When I join like this without crossing or anything, I do make that first stitch very snug so I don't have a gap. You just knit normally. As you can see, I'm a right-handed knitter. Doesn't matter if you're left-handed knitter, same technique. Now you will notice that I have them separated. So here's my yellow sock, sleeve, or hat over here, and here is my fuchsia sock, sleeve, or hat, and we just continue on. I like to push this down just a little bit. I do keep it on the needle because it helps me manage my cable, and I'm ready to go with my second thing. Be sure you pick up the correct strand. You don't want to pick up your tail. You've probably done that. I've done that several times. Now you see that gap there? I'm going to really snug that yarn up to close that gap up. We knit through just like this. We have just knit half of our stitches. Now you see we have this hanging down here. At this point, I like to go back to home position. I reach to the back of my work, pull my needle, snug it up. Oops. We hope. At least, we hope. Maybe I pulled that first stitch too tight, trying to show you how to pull it so tight. I think I did. But we are now back at home position. You would continue on in the same manner. Nicole just came in and she does magic loop.
I love magic loop.
Yeah, see? It's really fun. You would just continue on in the same manner. You now have your two items back at home position. You turn your work around. You always want to make sure it's going down. And I did snug that first stitch up too tight, trying to be sure to get that point across to you. Keep this working yarn going back here. Here's your working yarn here. Your long tail marks the beginning of your round. You just keep going around and around and around and work your pattern. A really good tip is when you get to the point where they're both separated and you're ready to do the second item, make sure you pull your yarn through those cables so they're going to the back. Otherwise, rock on with magic loop and knit two things at a time. And I'm Jeannie from Jimmy Bean's Wool. This was the magic loop, and have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thunder rumbles on this American summer night.